What is up, good people? What is up? What is up? It's getting kind of chilly out here, so I got to break out the beanies and the hats and all this kind of stuff, right? So, it's the cost of living up in the Northeast. So, let me see here. So let's just jump into it today. First of all, before we jump into it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, hit the like button or the thumbs down button, right? I try to read through all the comments, so make sure you leave a comment. I try to comment or at least like it, like it. I've been commenting less now because some of y'all, whew. But listen, I do appreciate the comments, so keep the conversation going and all that kind of stuff, right? So today, as the title says, I want to talk about what I would do if I could change marriage. And the reason that want to talk about this is because I want to make it more likable, more agreeable, more palatable, more likely that people would get married, right? So we're living in a day and time. I did a couple of videos or talked about a couple of times about people who were married, living apart, all these different dynamics that are going on with the dating game and all that. So, what is the ultimate goal of dating? What is it that we're looking to get out of this situation, right? So we want long-term partnership and or marriage. So we want to take a look at all that. So these are just some of the things that I would change. I was just kind of thinking about it, if I could snap my fingers and just change some things and say, hey, look, what would I change about marriage? Here's what I would change about it. All right, so the first thing is, and I talked about this before and took a little bit of heat about it, or somebody said something about it in the comment section, is, 20-year marriage, 20 years license, just like everything else expires. The license should expire as well. Now why do I say that? I've said it before. I'll say it again. Now I would like it to be for the record. I would like it to be for lifetime. I would like that. I'm not saying that I want to break up marriages. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying, how do we make it more palatable concerning the present era that we're living in? People don't want to get married because they don't want, in particular, the financial ruin. And, again, when people got married 1,000 years ago, when all these different concepts and all that were developed, people lived, they were dead by 45, dead by 40, 45. And you're an old man, if you lived that long, ladies lived, a little bit longer. So you really got to take a look at that, right? So you get married when you're 20, by the time you're 40 or so, you're dead. So they talk about the rest of your life. That was the rest of your life. So now we're living so much longer, modern medicine, technology, etc. We're living so much longer. And people are not the same people that they were at 25. So the average now is getting married is 28, 29, 30, somewhere around there, depending on, men and women, 30, 31. Between 28 and 31, let's just call it average age. Average age of getting married for the first time is around between 28 and 31, depending if you're male or female, black, white, etc. And, you're not the same person 20 years later. You're not the same person 15 years later. A lot of times people get quote unquote tricked, and they just develop into different people. Tricked as in, I thought you were someone, now you're not that person. Or sometimes they just evolve into different people. They go to school, they get a different job, they have children, and they just turn into different people. So I think that if the other previous historical marriages were roughly 20 years, why are we asking for people to do something more? If sometimes you watch I don't pretend to be a Greek mythologist or anything, but those Greek gods and stuff, they were all cheating on each other and all this kind of stuff, right? Because they were married to each other for thousands of years, So of course the same person is going to get you, in this way. So I'm just saying that it should be considered an option. And it should be considered an option if you want to dissolve your union because you've evolved into a different person, because you have different thoughts, because you want to go back to school, you want to travel the world now, and your partner doesn't want to travel, or they're more sedentary, or they, now you, when you first got married, you both ate, cheese steaks and ice cream every day. Now this person is now developed and turned into a different person. Now they're a health nut. You got to stay with that person. What are we doing here? I'm just saying it's a reality of this time. Again, just saying it's a reality of this time that we really ought to consider that. And if you and nobody's saying that after 20 years you can't still be together. Listen, don't even talk about it. Don't even talk about it. And that's what a marriage license. As I think about this now, and I did write some stuff down, but as I think about it now, what is marriage? It's a state modern Western kind of idea. So, we ought to take a look at what, the whole thing about that. What are we doing? Why is the state involved? What does it mean? Collecting data, information about us, about who I sleep with and who I go to bed with. It seems kind of weird after a while, but this is, family formations and who's living in the country and tax bases and all this kind of stuff. So we got to be, kind of aware about, what all this means. So first thing is, let's take a look at what we're doing for marriage. And along those lines, I did make notes, but I'm thinking of new things right now. But you really ought to be able to define what marriage is. And this goes to my last point about, the government being involved. What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to do when you get married? What's your purpose for getting married? Are you trying to, as I've said before, propagate the culture, or are you just getting married for selfish reasons? And I say, if you're getting married for selfish reasons, because I want somebody to live with, I want a companion, I want a mate. I mean, okay, but I think you got to define it culturally, communally, as to what that means as far as propagating the culture. I mean, certainly if you don't plan to have kids, you don't want kids, does that mean you can't get married? I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm just saying, what are you doing? And if you don't ever want kids, you still want to mate, okay, I got no issue with that. But just define what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. And I do think once you decide to have children, then it becomes a communal aspect, because now your children are going to go to school. My children, they're going to interact. They're going to play the same teams. It becomes this community type of event. And people don't want to treat it that way. Don't talk to my kid, don't discipline my kid. People go up to school, want to curse the teacher out because your kid was acting bad. All kind of crazy nonsense, right? So what are we doing when we talk about marriage? And then, maybe I would put a definite time limit on the license. Again, not saying you have to, after 20 years, okay, you're automatically divorced or anything like that. Just, okay, you want to continue with this. Look your spouse in the eye and say, you want to do another 20 years or 5 years or whatever it is after that. If you do, you do. But some people like, yeah, you'd probably be surprised. Some people like, we had a good run. Let's let's go in separate directions. So again, I'm just trying to make up things that I think would be, that would make marriage more palatable in this modern day and time. I would definitely mandate counseling. And as I've talked before about, when I would mandate counseling, you got to come in with a certificate. Gone would be the days of eloping, right? Just willy-nilly just getting married. I think marriage is too easy to get into, and it's too easy to get out of. Here's what I mean by that. It's too easy to get into. You cannot know. I can literally go up to some lady right now, say, hey, you're poor. I got a job. Once you marry me, you can go down and sign some document. That is just absolutely insane to me that you can do that. Particularly given all the legal entanglements you put yourself into by signing this one piece of paper. It's absolutely nuts that people can do that. So I think it almost should be a college course, but I would settle for a certificate program, 3 months, 6 months of intense counseling about what you're going to do in marriage. What does it mean to be married? Different things you got to talk about are the finances, what's going to happen when children come, how the bill's going to be paid, who's paying the bills, how's that going to work? Separate accounts, joint accounts. How do you raise the children? Do you believe in spankings? Do you believe in timeouts? What does that mean? Are they going to get any type of religious training? All that. What church we're going to go to? What are your thoughts about sex life? How often? Talk about all that. Positions, things are off limits, things are on limits, right? How do you deal with stress? How does a couple deal with stress? When you're stressed out, do you like to talk? Do you like to be quiet? I'm the type that I kind of just need a minute just to kind of sort out my thoughts here. But other people like to talk through it. Other people like to eat through it, right? Now I got to worry about you being stressed out and eating chocolate donuts every day and, putting on 30 pounds because you're stressed. And this is male and female, men and women. So I'm not, taking shots at anyone. So all this got to be talked out. You got to figure all this out. This is all what marriage is. I don't think there's enough of that going on. How do you deal with conflict resolution? These are the down parts that nobody wants to talk about. We get this euphoric high about when we get married, when we are in love with someone, right? All of our endorphins are kicking in, and all of our feel good emotions are going on. Feel good chemicals are flooding our brains, and then you get some stressful event, some anxiety producing event, that you need some kind of conflict resolution or anger management or whatever, and you don't know how to deal with it because you've been so in la la land, and now the real world is hitting you. People really do get laid off from their jobs. Jobs really do close down and go overseas. People really do come down with illnesses. So, we really have to think about long and hard about what we're saying when we say for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, until death do us part. And again, I've been very, very open and honest and transparent about mine. Is that so we got to fight harder. We got to fight harder for these things if we're going to mean them. I talked about easy to get into and easy to get out of. Anybody can just go down and just file a petition. Anybody in a marriage can go down and file a petition saying I want out, and my only reason I went out is because of no fault divorce and all this. I would certainly end no fault divorce. I would end it. You got to prove it, and I'm not saying that people should be stuck in marriages for whatever. But if because the government's involved, because finances are involved, um, somebody's life shouldn't be upset because you're unhappy or because you, found some new work husband who you think you're going to live long and prosper with, and meanwhile he just wants to hit it and quit it, and now you destroyed your family over temporary emotional floodings of the cerebral cortex and all that kind of stuff, like I talked about. Um, I don't even know if they flood that area, but never fails. Every time I'm doing this, somebody texts me. So yeah. So no. So that's what I mean by it's too easy to get out. Just bring back reasons for divorce. And certainly if you're being abused, if somebody's irresponsible with the money, somebody is on drugs, mentally unstable, all that. I'm not saying you got to stick through that. I'm just saying you have to be able to show some evidence of that kind of thing and just be like, listen, I can't deal with this, or all that kind of stuff. So again, so that's that, ending of no fault divorce. Back to the counseling that I was talking about. I think again, a certificate that you should have to bring to whoever's going to perform the ceremony, and or part of the marriage license when you go down to City Hall or whatever. Before they give you a marriage license to sign, you got to present them with a ticket, with a certificate. Saying, and again, you should talk about finances and sex and children and religion and stress, how you deal with stress and conflict resolution and fitness goals, where you're going to live, leadership. Do you believe in male leadership? Do you believe in female leadership? Do you believe in gender roles, chores? You got to talk about all this kind of stuff, right? Because one of the biggest reasons that ladies say about the divorce is because they don't feel supported in the marriage. And what they mean by that is when they say that they don't feel supported, what they're saying is that they feel as if they're working 9 to 5, come home and they got to do all the work, and the guy just kind of sits on the porch, or excuse me, sits on the couch sucking down beers, and they don't feel supported, right? They got to do all this 9 to 5 work, and they got to come home and wrangle the children and do all the house chores. And I've said before, I said it before, I'll say it again. If you're in a relationship and your woman is working just as much as you, and you ought to chip in, help wrangle the kids, cook a dinner, wash the dishes after, do something, do something to take a load off of her plate so she's not as stressed. Absolutely, I definitely agree with that. So what else I would change about marriage is automatic 50-50 in divorce. Now, obviously, this is marriage as far as that goes, but you can't talk about marriage without talking about divorce.
Key problem I have with marriage as it is done currently here in the West and in other places, but certainly the clay in which I work, is that there are certain promises the law can enforce, and there are certain promises it can't. So if we acknowledge that, if we say the quiet part out loud, that in the majority of heterosexual marriages, the man brings protection and providing, and the woman brings kindness, warmth, and care, right? And sex. That's the economy. That's the economy. I didn't make that up. Don't get fucking mad at me in the comments. I didn't make it up. It was here before me. It's going to be here after me. I promise, right? So that's the game. That's the economy. His roles, his obligations are enforceable by law. So state power can be used to enforce his obligations, not hers. The court cannot order her to be nice to him, or to fuck him, or to stay pretty, or to stay sweet and friendly to him and kind to him, or speak nicely of him, or raise the children in a meaningful way that creates value to him instead of teaching them to disrespect him, right? But his promises in that, shelter, food, financial obligations, court can force you to do that. And if you don't do it, they can put you in jail, or they can take away your driver's license, your professional licenses. So what is that? When you have a contract where only one side is enforceable by law under penalty of law, like, that is a dangerous game to play if you're a man, period.
And we're talking about counteracting the ideas that are present in men and women's minds about marriage. Then we have to talk about this, and it's going to be divorce, and that's going to be automatic 50-50 splitting of the kids. And if it's not automatic, then you have to be able to show absolute definitive proof that this person does not deserve to see their children 50% of the time. They help make them, so they ought to help. They ought to be a part of their life going forward. And so again, if there's abuse and all this kind of stuff, and I'm not talking about fake allegations and all this kind of foolishness, people being coached and all that kind of stuff. I saw a lot of that in law enforcement. Really, really sad what they do to children to put them as pawns in this game. So yeah, I would also, and talking about what it's going to take for people to want to get married, I think you ought to completely eliminate alimony. 100% completely eliminate it. I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care if you're a man getting it. I don't care if you're a woman getting it. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care. I think you ought to. I don't care. I think that 100% complete elimination of alimony. Or if that's too extreme for you all, or you got to prove. Going back to the fault divorce type of thing, you got to prove that this person did something that messed up the marriage so badly that you now need this. One of the two. So in other words, so you had a happy life. You're a housewife, or maybe you just work 10, 15 hours a week, something to keep you, so you're not going stir crazy, whatever. And this guy's just out cheating on you and stuff, and now he has ruined the relationship. Okay, I agree with alimony in that circumstance. He's ruined the relationship. But you just waking up as a woman, or a guy, could go either way, saying, listen, I don't want to be in this. I don't want to be in this anymore because of whatever. And you get 50%, you get alimony. No, I don't think you should get any of that. Nope. I don't think you should get any. And if there's fault as far as some type of abuse, emotional, psychological, physical abuse, or cheating and all that kind of stuff, I don't think you should get anything. You messed up the relationship. Everything was going good, and because you didn't handle your anger issues, or because you became an alcoholic, or because you didn't deal with your drug addictions, or whatever, you messed up the relationship. Now you don't get the profit by getting half of their 401k, or they got $50,000 in the bank, you got 25. No. I don't think that. So those are just some of the things I would change. I would take a look at what we're doing as far as marriage. What does it mean? What are we doing, and all that kind of stuff, right? Take a look at gender roles, all this kind of stuff that going forward. I would definitely put a cap on marriage licenses. Again, not saying that at the end of this, it's just an extension. Do you want to get married again? And you don't have to. You don't have to involve the government at all. I guess that would come. I'd have to think about that a little bit more as far as legal protections, right? So, okay, so at the 25-year mark, your license is only good for 20 years, but at the 25-year mark, you said, we're not going to bother renewing it anymore. What does that mean? What does that mean for, somebody gets sick? Do you still have the financial protections, or excuse me, you have financial and or legal protections as far as being able to make decisions for somebody who's sick and all that kind of stuff? I have to think about that a little bit more. But so maybe you would have to renew it every year. I don't. I don't know if I would want the government being paid from that. Just a simple check on a X on a box. No, I gotta think about that one a little bit more. So mandatory counseling, definitely mandatory counseling. Talk about everything you got to talk about, and as far as anybody could do it, whether it's a religious person or um, clergy. I'm saying, or some life coach or somebody could do this. Some type of counseling that is substantive. I'm not talking about 2-hour counseling. I'm talking about 3-month counseling where you guys are sitting here talking about stuff, right? Because you got to give time. You got to give time for these endorphins to wear off, and that may sound crazy, but you got to give them time to wear off, because this thing that you're about to embark on is for life. So you meet somebody and you've been together for let's just call it a year, and you're talking about, okay, listen, this is it. We want to start having kids. This thing, our religious, whatever. We want to start being together, have kids, whatever. And they, and now you say, okay, let's do it. Let's just pull the trigger. Let's just go to Vegas. Let's just do it. I don't think you should be able to walk into Vegas and just do that, because it's too much at stake. Your mental stability, your financial stability, there's too much at stake. So you should have to sit down with somebody, life coach, clergy, somebody not from the government, and really have a conversation about what you're going to expect in marriage, what you're going to expect in a marriage. And it can be a community leader, whatever. You shouldn't be able to, it's just too much at stake. Too much at stake. So I really think that we got to take a look at that. You can't talk about marriage without talking about divorce and 50-50 custody and complete elimination of alimonies, particularly for no-fault divorce. If you're just unhappy, go ahead, go. Nobody's gonna hold you. Nobody's gonna, we might cry a little bit. We might, people love hard, and they think everything is going good. Okay, you don't want to go, but you can't take the kids and you can't take anything else. And if yeah, so you can't take anything else. And if there is some type of fault to the divorce, there's a guy over there stealing stuff out of the clothing bins. You can't do that, man. And if you're going to prove fault divorce, okay, then you can get it. I would be okay with that. Okay. But there's a fault to it, right? You messed up this relationship. I was faithful to you. You were unfaithful. I was faithful to you. You started putting your hands on me. You told me you were done with this drug habit. You told me you overcame it, but you didn't. So, those are real concerns. Real concerns. So let me know your thoughts, your opinion, and let's keep the conversation going. That's what I would do if I was going to fix marriage. What else did I miss? What would you change about what marriage is to make it more palatable, more desirable? What would you change about marriage to make it more desirable? Much love and peace.